Hi there, this is Two Legs Better. Welcome to my channel. And you see the title, The Pathetic Existence of Fans. Well, don't be mad at me if already. Just listen to what I have to say first, okay? So I'm a fan myself, so I understand our existence very, very well. So now, today I will talk about mainly about Ohio State, the current state of Ohio State, the fans there, because in the past week, a lot of things has happened, both to Ohio State and at the national stage, and some of the things affects Buckeye fans more directly than others, and I want to talk about that. And then after that, hopefully I will spend some time to talk about the upcoming conference championship game between Ohio State and the Indiana Hoosiers, and that's going to be a great game. And let's see. So stay tuned. Don't just go away yet because you don't like the title or something. Let's just get into that and let's hear what I have to say. Okay. What do I mean by the pathetic existence of fans? Okay. You think about the people as human beings in life. We worry too much. We worry about the future. We worry about things that hasn't happened yet, especially for fans. Fans are even more pathetic because a lot of the things that haven't happened yet, that's out of our control. Who's going to stay, who's going to leave, what the team is going to do, and will they win, when they lose, it's totally out of our control. So, but you would say, yeah, okay, then if you pin your happiness on something that's totally out of your control, that's kind of pathetic. It's not my word, because I'm a fan. When my team wins, Buckeyes, and other teams sometimes as well. When my team wins, I'm happy. When my team loses, I'm unhappy. I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm depressed a little bit, But I think I'm a pretty much even-keeled fan. But there are many others that do a lot of things. Some people break the TV. What did the TV do to you to deserve that, right? It's just a outpour of anger towards something that's close by. Caleb Downs, the star safety for Ohio State Buckeyes, in the past weekend during the game, they defeated the team up north. Caleb Downs said, over an hour after the game has finished, remember, it was in the snow. It was cold. It's like a -degree cold. And there were fans, standing by the bus, the Ohio State players' bus, and yelling shit to the players. Don't you have anything better to do? Just go find some place warm and drink yourself to oblivion or something, rather than just stand in the cold to yell at some 20-year-old because they beat your 20-year-old team. People, what's that about? It's just that's the pathetic to another level, But I don't want to appear like I don't understand it. I do. I lived in Ohio for many years, and I've been following the game all the time, and I understand that the importance of the rivalry, particularly because if you live in that state, you're gonna run into people to talk about football. That's like one of the major topic in America. If you talk to people, they're going to talk about that, and they are going to give you shit if you lose that game. And if you win, then you can give other people shit. It kind of somehow make people feel good or bad, if you lose. And so that's like that's like a reality of life. So you can't really blame the fans for feeling that way, because every day people will remind you of that and put you in that state. So pathetic or what, that's kind of the reality of the existence. It's from a rational perspective, it's really, really not. You're putting your livelihood on something that's totally out of your control. And my wife tell me that from time to time. She understands, but she would make fun of me saying, You never even played American football. You were not on the team, and I do have some connections with some of the former players of the team. But it doesn't mean you are invested. You are part of the team or something like that. But still, your mood is associated with that, is affected by that. So let's talk about the current mood of the Buckeye fans. Okay, I mean, on Sunday after last Saturday, things couldn't have been better. They just dominated. They went to the big house and dominated the Wolverines on the field and post the game. On so many levels, everybody was having fun. It was just great. If you were a Buckeye fan, that's great. It's perfect. And the team is doing great. It's undefeated season after a national championship season last year. So it looks like they're going to repeat. Things just going great. And you look at the defense, that's like the best defense in the last half a century. And if you look at the offense, the first-time play caller, Brian Hartline, called masterful games the whole season. It was brilliant. I think it's a part of Ryan Day, but also part of Brian Hartline. How to protect the team, how to get the victory first, but at the same time develop players. You rely on the proven commodity, like the receivers and the tight ends. A lot of people question why they use so many tight ends at the beginning of the first half of the season. Well, because they are proven. They are the best unit on the team, best proven unit on the team. So it's actually very savvy to do that. And then along the way, you develop the offensive line, you develop the running game. Then Bo Jackson, Isaiah West, and James Peoples, at first you rely on C.J. Donaldson because he's the veteran, but then you try to develop the young guys and their talents start to, to develop and to show up. So it's masterful. It's great. I mean, people say, oh, Ohio State wasn't really tested. Why? Because their plan was perfect. Their execution was perfect. So there's really no need to get tested. No need to get into a close game because, you have such a great defense. Then you can lean on that, and then the offense you can test the things. There are a lot of things going on great. If there is something called perfection in the football world, this is it. I firmly believe this team is much better than last year's. Much better. Last year was a national championship team, but this year's is much better. Does it mean they're going to get the national championship? I'm not saying that, okay? Even best teams, you think about the New England Patriots in, I think that's 2007, right? That's the year they set the record 16-0. They couldn't win the Super Bowl because winning Super Bowl is not easy. It's really hard. It's a lot of things could happen. So I'm not predicting Ohio State will win. I think they have the best chance among all the current teams to win, but I'm not saying they will. But that doesn't mean doesn't diminish the power of this team. Ohio State in the past, during my time of watching the team, I watched them got 3 national championships and pay close attention to these teams. And there were some teams that didn't get the national championship, like 2015, 2019, and those teams were great as well. But they didn't get it. Does it mean, in my book, they might be even better than some of the championship teams? But but that's the thing. This team, I think, this year's version, 2025, I think is the best among them, and by a large margin. It's just best among them. So if you are like with me, I think a lot of Buckeye fans pay close attention. They agree. The team is basically perfect. On offense they can pass, they can run. On defense it's suffocating. They change. It's just great. And then special teams were maybe not spectacular, but they were okay. They were So the team is kind of great, and they got a perfect record. They beat the rival, and they are going to the championship game. But then this happened. Brian Hartline leaving. there are a few things. If you got to understand the importance, because there were lots of people left on the coaching staff. Even Jim Knowles left last year. Kelly left last year, and before that there were many. But none of those has this kind of impact on the psyche of the Buckeye fans. If you're not a Buckeye fan, let me explain it to you kind of briefly. Brian Hartline played for the Ohio State team, and including the 2006 national championship game team. They lost the championship to Florida, but he was on that team. And then, so Buckeye fans knew him already. Then he went to spend 8 seasons in the National Football League and 7 with the Miami Dolphins. So that also kind of makes sense that he goes to South Florida, Tampa. It's also in Florida. And then he, by his own word, he came back after retirement from the NFL. He was like, okay, what do? I don't have a plan. Then some friends suggested, okay, go coaching. Then he went to Ohio State, and he became the best recruiter in the country, maybe ever, in terms of recruiting high school recruits. And he built the wide receiver room at the Ohio State. You just look at all these names, and if you are a half-hearted football fan, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to say too much about him. But the thing is, he's a legacy. The Buckeye family, the Buckeye fans, the Buckeye whole thing, they treat him like one of us. He's one of us. Now he's leaving. So that's the first blow. We knew that. A lot of people were talking about that. Even ever since, it's particularly this season, ever since the Penn State fired James Franklin, there were words around that saying that they are targeting Brian Hartline, at least interested. So, but we never thought it was this quick, and also the day before the National Signing Day, and it's kind of interesting, is particularly if you consider the Lane Kiffin saga, But I think this is a responsible thing to do. Think about if you announce that the day after the National Signing Day. A lot of the high school recruits, especially the wide receiver recruits, would say, you are cheating me. I came to this place because of this guy, and now he's leaving, So I think it's a responsible thing to do before the signing day, so that the recruits know that they can make an informed decision, and they did. Some of the high-end wide receivers decommitted from Ohio State and went to sign with other schools. And the number 1 receiver, Chris Henry, is on the fence now and trying to rethink things over. So those things impact Ohio State. So if you're a Buckeye fan, you gotta feel unease at least. This is like a sudden shower, sudden rain, black rain on a sunny day, because everything was going so well, and then suddenly you're talking, leaving me. It's just a. But I also want to say, not just as a fan, but as a person who majored in psychology. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. Not a registered one anyway. But I did study psychology my whole life. So I think this is the part that as fans we need to manage the expectations. We got to understand that this is real life, and Brian Hartline earned this. He when he was here, he devoted all his energy to better the team. To bring all the hardwares, all the great memories to the team, and he did a great job here. And now it's his turn. I think it's not just about money. It's also about growth. He's only 39 years old. He's going to sign a 6-year contract with South Florida. Let's say he spent all these years in South Florida. If he did a great job, he's going to rise in the rank and go be a great head coach somewhere else. I don't think it will be Ohio State, though, although, we would love that. But I think Ryan Day will be here for a long time. And but anyway, so from Hartline's perspective, he goes there, at least double his money, double his salary, double or triple his salary, and it's a new challenge. And I think he will be successful. To what extent, I can't be sure, but I think he will be successful based on his track record. Everywhere he went, everything he did great, and so that's a great decision for him. And back to the Buckeyes team, the Ohio State Buckeyes team. I'm sure Ryan Day had an inkling about this. Okay, he already had an inkling about this could happen. So he had some backup plans. So if you are a Buckeye fan, relax, okay? Relax. If you're a Buckeye fan, you probably the number one thing you worry about probably is, what's going to happen to the rest of the season? Can we still get the national championship? The good news is Brian Hartline is still committed to finish out this season, and Ryan Day said we are going to help him along the way to juggle the two jobs, and he's going to help the team. I fully believe him, and he graduated here. He's part of the family. He's not going to do anything to jeopardize the team. Some of you may say, some key players may follow him to Florida. Well, maybe. If they do, I wish them luck, really. I mean, even if it's someone like Brandon Innes or even JJ, I don't think JJ is going to leave with him. Or even if these are the people that they just love Brian Hartline so much and want to follow him, I wish them luck, really. I think Ohio State will be fine. Ohio State is way bigger than just any one particular player or coach, and I'm also not worried about the playoff run or the championship game, this weekend's championship game. I think, Ryan Day has been here all these years. All he had to do, I think, a majority of his job was to handle the noises and changes. You think about he first the several years he had Wilson as Kevin Wilson as the offensive coordinator for him. That was stable. But on the defensive side, he changes coordinators every 1 or 2 years. Jeff Hafley was great, but it only lasted 1 year before anything could happen. And then it changed to Combs, and then changed to somebody else, Jim Knowles. And Jim Knowles 3 years and got a championship and left. So he knew about changes. So this is just another changes, offensive coordinator. And I don't want to speculate too much about who's going to come in doing that. People talk about Chip Kelly, but I'm not sure it will be Chip Kelly because I'm just not sure. But I do have a confidence. I think whoever Ryan Day brings in, it should be a good fit. It should be a good fit. But I know Brian Hartline is way, way, way over there in terms of recruiting. So it's very difficult to just find somebody who can recruit at his level. But it shouldn't be too far off, because now the Ohio State program under Ryan Day is a machine. Everybody, of course, all the assistant coaches, everybody is playing their own parts. To a very high level, but the machine is the main thing. The institution is the main thing. The institution runs smoothly, so you can just find a bright mind and plug it in, and it should work fine. And to what degree we'll see. That's the beauty of sports, And like great ones like Nick Saban, had to deal with this kind of things all the time as well. Nowadays, Dan Lanning had to deal with that as well, and so do other great coaches. So it's just part of life. So if you are a Buckeye fan like me, what I do is I take a deep breath. Oh wow, okay, good for you, Brian. Good luck in the sunny Florida. And I will follow his career in the future as well. I will see how well he does. So great, good for you. Brian. And But then I will still pay attention to the Buckeyes, and I'm sure they will do great as well. I just hope, Brian can finish up this season, with a perfect note. If they can win the national championship and the conference championship, it will be great. Okay, so do I help you release part of your anxiety now? So is it still pathetic, or just the existence now? Anyway, so I hope it helps a little bit. Okay, so now this year's Big Ten championship game. This year's Big Ten championship game is featuring the number 1 and number 2 team in the whole country. Okay, this is also, it's you look at all these people, all these talking heads on TV, when they talk about the game, and they don't know who to pick. It's almost insulting to the Buckeye fans, because who else would you pick, right? But these people, like, they don't know why. Part of that is because the Buckeyes are so dominating. It doesn't seem like they are challenged. It doesn't seem like, we don't really know what's the ceiling of this team. We know it's better than everybody else they played, maybe every other team in the nation, but we don't know about the ceiling. And kind of same for Indiana. Indiana, if you look at that, is a great story. Curt Cignetti got the second Coach of the Year, Big Ten Coach of the Year award. I would say Ryan Day deserve at least as much, but it's just a story. It's like, well, Indiana, they do it second year in a row, and it's just brilliant. How did he do that? I mean, last year, I understand, it was a terrible program, and then suddenly it's one of the best in the country. And this year, sure, they continue to do well, but, all right. I think it's still deserved, but is it more deserving than Ryan Day? I don't know. But that's the thing. You coach at Ohio State, you're expected to be the best. If you are, you just meet your expectations. Nobody is going to give you credit. So, but I want to give you credit. I think Ryan Day did a marvelous job. I think it's a better job because it's not easy. It's almost like you run a race car. You run from 200 miles per hour to 205. I don't know. I'm not really a race car fan, but my point is, you're already at your peak. You improve that even by a little. It's difficult. It's not easy. Think about how many players the Ohio State had lost to the NFL draft. It's not easy. But if you are from good to great, it's still difficult. But is it more difficult than from great to elite to the best ever? It's just it's kind of mind-boggling. But still, so about the game. The game is like this. I think if you are a Buckeye fan, what you need to look at is look at how not the common opponents. The common opponents can be misleading, because Buckeyes went to Illinois and then dominated Illinois just like they do, but the score was not comparable to what Indiana did to them. But you got to consider the injuries and some of the funky things happened there. And then Ohio State beat a Texas team. Indiana beat at home Ohio State. But Indiana went to Oregon, went to Austin Stadium and beat Oregon. But that game was closed for a long time. I think for the deep into the third quarter and maybe even the fourth quarter. So that's one. And then you think about the other one to compare is Penn State. Indiana. I don't want to check, but I think Indiana has trouble with Penn State, but Ohio State really didn't. So the thing is, when Indiana facing talented defenses like Iowa, like Penn State, like Oregon, they have some trouble. They have trouble, especially the ones that can hang with them. They have trouble. So, and Ohio State defense is at least as good as those defenses they faced. So that part we need to have confidence. And then the offense, the current Ohio State offense is operating at such a high level, such an efficient level, both running and passing. I just don't see, how. I know that their defense is good. Their defense is really, really good. I think the key here is the pressure, whether they can really put pressure on Julian Saint. If you can, then maybe we'll see a rattled Julian Saint, and we'll see what he really is made of. But I just don't see that. I think Julian Saint is too smart. He's going to handle the pressure. He's going to work well with the offensive line. So I think he will be fine. And so I look at this as like two NFL teams facing each other, both well coached, and both have a scheme. It's okay, but you need execution. Scheme wise, you can't really out scheme top teams at this level. I don't think you can out scheme Indiana. Just and sometimes you have to just win. You have to win with talent, and I think Ohio State has more talent. For example, Indiana has great receivers, but their receivers are good at contested catches, but their speed wise is not really well known, and that's trouble for them. That's good news for Ohio State, because the Ohio State DBs, they are tough, and they can cover well, and they can do defense. They can defend contested catches. So I think that favors Ohio State a little bit. I still think this is just another game. The thing about Ohio State this year is this is how well they were. It's like that. It's like they almost beat everybody by the same score. You have a 24-6, and you have like a 40-something 13, and that's what they do. So nobody really can score above 17 points, and they can score over 25 points on almost anybody. So that's kind of my prediction for the game, and let's see if I'm right. So anywho, all right. So I made this episode kind of hoping to make fans happy a little bit, make fans happy, well, anxiety free, or or something. I don't know. I just hope this episode helps. Anyway, this is Two Legs Better, and please subscribe and come back. I mean, yeah, just please do, and your subscription will mean a lot to me. And so if you're a Buckeye fan, go Bucks. Hopefully we win this weekend. And if you're just a football fan or whatever, don't worry about life too much, especially things that haven't happened yet, particularly the things that's out of your control. You can think about them, but don't fret over them too much. Think about it and then put them away, and then just get on with your day and look for happiness and work on things. There are a lot of things in life that's out of your control, and it's really not worth it to pin the majority of your well-being on those things. That's just like the rain outside. As I told you before, I live in New Zealand. In New Zealand, I can see outside. It was raining a little bit, but now the sky is half blue and half clouds, and it's just beautiful. Just go out and enjoy something. Maybe your team lost. Just don't diminish your own existence because of that. Anywho, so I hope you have a great